Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is August the 25th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing okay. But I hope that you got your lasagna today. I hope that, I hope you got some from me. I hope you got seconds. I hope you had a heaping helpings, mind you. Actually, real shit, I could use some lasagna. It's been a while since I've had some, like in real life, IRL. Not I'm not doing this for a bit. No, but today was lasagna lost. I feel like I had a good day today, and at some point on this fine Monday, I just gave in to one crash out too many, and yeah, it just got the better of me. And I remember like coming home and like I turned a 5 minute stretching situation into yet again like a moment in the void where I just sit there and I'm steaming about it. And I decided for today that I'm going to do that a little bit different. I normally would love to vent and talk about my crash outs with a little bit of detail, or at least a bit of vague whatever. I'm not doing that tonight. If you know, you know, it is that type of situation on the crash outs that happened over the past 24 hours, whatever. Um, I'm paywalling that shit. So if you really want to know and you're paying me, by all means, I will tell you. It's an AMA situation. And, or if you're a close enough friend, then you probably already know. And like, you're already appraised of the situation. But I'll just go through my day and I'll try to just kind of skip over those parts, or just, briefly mention in terms of that's where the crash out one happened and so on and so forth. But overall, let's just start with the top of the day. Let's just try to kick it normal, kick it old school. I'm trying to let this shit go. But we woke up. I woke up too early, actually. I woke up around 4. I'm back on my old ways where I just had enough time to fall asleep too early Sunday night. And I woke up at around 4 and couldn't go back to sleep. And then I started dozing off at around like 5 something, and then the alarm's blaring at around 6:30. So I'm like, okay, awesome, love that for me. But luckily we did have some coffee to start off the day. It was yummy, and I marched my ass on to work. And work was overall solid. Um, Actually, I would even say better than solid, because like it feels like whatever the busy vibes were for the past couple weeks, it might be breaking a bit. It might be going back down to slower, a little bit of non-peak vibe, which is good. And the work was pretty easy to handle. It felt manageable, and that was nice. Another thing that happened was I was like, you know what? I shouldn't eat this thing, but I'm gonna eat this thing. And what I got was a bag of Doritos, nacho cheese Doritos. Why did you want the nacho cheese Doritos so bad, Isaiah? Well, I had the popcorn nacho cheese, like the Smart Food or whatever, Smart Pop, whatever it's called. And I wanted to have the two of them together. I was feeling a little crazy. I was feeling a little devious, and I said, "Yeah, let's do that." So I eat that with my energy drink, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty undefeated on this Monday, and then it gets even better, right? It gets even better. Like a little bit before I'm about to clock in, one of my coworkers, they go, "Hey, do you want some food?" Like they were alluding to it, and I was just like, look, cut to the chase. Like I do have a limited amount of time, and I can make this my lunch if you have lunch for me. Essentially was what I was telling them, and they said, okay, I got you. And what they had, it was glorious. They had chicken fried rice, and they had egg rolls, and they said, you can take some, you can have some. And I said, bet. But this is where crash out one happens for the day. And essentially, it wasn't the person who gives me the food, but the person next to them has something really weird to say. I mean, whatever. They thought they were just like being funny or making an observation. I gave them a response. And then that response got a response out of the person giving me the food, and I knew I did too much. So I just took my food and I left. That was crash out one, right? And I'm stewing on that already, because I was like, why did that happen? Why did this person decide that they wanted to try me, of all people, at the age of 30 fucking 4 at this point? Like, that's neither here nor there. Like I said, I'm not dwelling on that. So, I go from there, I'm a bit in my vibe, I'm a bad vibe, I'm a bit in my feelings, whatever. And I get through the day, it's fine. I'm gonna go work it out. I'm gonna go to the gym and pump it out. We get to the gym, of course, it's goddamn busy. But I will say, highlight to that, I did get to see the homie and talk a little bit, chit chat, catch up. That was solid. That was a vibe. So even though we didn't get on the Smith machine, I did the substitutes, and overall, it was a good gym session in that regard. So we love that. Clap it up for that. But I came home and I was thinking about something else. And this is where Crash Out 2 happens. And this is in a digital space, in a digital social media world. And God help me, I took it to Mark's metaverse. I really goddamn did, and I threw a little tantrum about it, and I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have. But you know what? Sometimes, Chico, what if I want the goddamn satisfaction? Do you ever think about that? You ever think about that? Because sometimes I do. Sometimes I fucking do. And I don't care if it looks rational, irrational, whatever. It's just crazy to play me. It's just crazy to be weird around me when I don't do that to you. You know what I mean? So I had a Crash Out online, and that's there. If you want to go look at that, you can just use your little fingers and find that out, or you can ask me whatever. But I don't really want to dwell on that too much. I've already talked too much as is. We have a lot of news to cover. I can tell. I mean, knock on wood, for better or worse, it feels like it's going to be a big news week. There's a lot to cover already, and it's Monday. So I'm going to do my best to cover what we have on the docket today and get through anything that I missed throughout the week as things develop. You know how this goes. You know what a week at the newsstand looks like. Longtime listeners know. If you're a new listener, hi, I'm so sorry. I always hate and wonder about that, right? That like, I'm going to have a Crash Out whatever Monday. I'm going to have a Mash It Up Monday. And like some new person is going to come in and be like, this is stupid. And then not to mention, you're telling me this idiot is about to tell me about news. Like, what did I sign up for? I know. Maybe I get funnier. That there's a chance. Once again, this is a satirical comedy podcast. I should say that more often. But I say that I'm never about to get into some real fucking sad shit. But anyway, yeah, say that for legal purposes. Anyway, let's do our startup. I feel like I need it. I'm talking crazy. I'm talking like in a manic way. Let's just fucking relax. Let's calm down. Let's lay our burdens down and let's talk about what's going on in the world. Some real fucking problems. Anywho, all right. But before I do, isn't it crazy though? It's weird the things that really do like truly push your buttons, because I had a Crash Out over the weekend that I didn't even mention. Didn't even feel the need to mention it. I handled it, and I thought that was gonna be growth on your boy. But then look at me on Monday, like blowing up over things that in my mind on the scale, I know you don't know, you don't have the full fucking story, but like they just aren't as bad. But to me, god damn it, they really broke my frame. Maybe it's just all adding up. Maybe this is me in the, and maybe some of my listeners aren't gonna like this, and this is me being a little wooey woo, but like, look, it is Virgo season. It is my birthday month coming up, and I hate being that guy. I literally just had a whole spiel about that. It's my birthday, da 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 da. It's my whole month. No, but I do mean that in the sense of like, god damn it, for my ego's sake, do not try me for the next fucking 30 plus days, okay? Just fucking be cool around me. It's the least you could goddamn do, all right? You don't have to cash at me anything, but at least be cool my way. Or maybe I won't be cool to you. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know. I'm gonna be nasty. That's not a threat, but anyway. I'll tell you, I don't know how these professionals do it. I really don't. Okay. Anyway, let's start off with the Associated Press. Like I said, we got to get into some real sad shit at the start. From the Associated Press, AP freelancer among 5 journalists killed in Israeli strikes on Gaza hospital, health officials say. Now, I think I want to read most of this article. I feel like it's important and covers a lot. So, Israeli strikes on a hospital in southern Gaza killed 5 journalists Monday, according to health officials, including one who days earlier had reported for the Associated Press on children being treated for starvation at the same facility. Miriam Daga, 33, a visual journalist, freelance for AP, and other news outlets during the war. The news organization said in a statement that it was shocked and saddened to learn of Daga's death, as well as the death of other journalists. We are doing everything we can to keep our journalists in Gaza safe as they continue to provide crucial eyewitness reporting, AP said. Also, this thing, like, definitely kind of got me emotional seeing on, like, a graph. But Israel has killed nearly 200 journalists since the war began. It's worth noting that this is just the numbers we're talking about post 2023, October 7th, right? But you see in the graph, especially in the beginning, the high frequency of journalist deaths that were taking place. And you can see that they thin out and then like they cluster. And that is not an accident. And you could say, oh, well, you're being speculative or whatever. You could say, like, this is just the fog of war, eagerness of war, whatever the fuck. I don't know. But, like, no, it is impossible for me to say that, like, to try to cover this in any kind of way that doesn't say that this is a targeted thing coming out of Israel. That you are seeing these journalists and saying, hey, you are going to cover the story? Nah, you're not. That's over now. We done heard that shit. Boom. It is so hard for me to say and think otherwise. You know what I mean? I get that, like, news outlets are not going to do that or whatever, but once again, this is a trend that has been seen happening in Gaza from the IDF, you know, even before 2023, even before Hamas did what they fucking did. So it is just really hard for me to not want to call that out, especially when you just see how many journalists were literally thinned out over time. And then you fast forward to now. Even now, you still have that happening where you go, oh, okay, well, we're about to mount this whole occupation of Gaza City. So let's fucking raise the area of anyone talking about it. Because once again, if we get rid of them, there's no other fucking Western eyes on the ground to see what we do. It's just what we tell you. And if it's anyone else, we get to say that that's Hamas. And even then, they say it's Hamas. Even when it is a journalist, they go, oh, well, it doesn't matter that they have the press badge. Here's a history, actually. They were actually there on October 7th. They were actually involved. They're actually militants. They were covering the story. Like, what are you talking fucking about? It's insane to me that this narrative is being pushed all the time, every single day. So, you know, I knew this was going to be hard to cover. But I feel like I definitely know I didn't do enough justice when this happened, I want to say a week or two ago, and they do mention that here, so I'm going to keep reading. 2 strikes hit Nasser Hospital in Han Yunis in quick succession, medical officials said. In the videos, journalists and rescue workers can be seen rushing to the scene of the first one before a massive explosion hits an interior staircase where journalists are often stationed. Once again, this is me telling you that this is a targeted thing. Like, I mean, once again, you have to smack on allegedly or whatever the fuck, I guess, for reasons, for purposes. But, like, at the end of the fucking day, you do the goddamn math. Do you think that the IDF is this stupid? Or do you think that this cruel? I think that cruel. I do. In all, 20 people were killed, according to Zahir Al-Awadi, head of the Gaza Health Ministry's records department. It's also worth noting, too, that it's not just press. We've covered multiple times where multiple hospitals have been bombed, have been raided with tanks, where you have literally, like, raids in and people are getting shot and killed. And the only defense of that is, well, we were in search of Hamas terrorists, or, you know, this whole place is Hamas. Like, you know, or they throw an AK-47 near an MRI machine and say, see, they're here. You know? So there's just no rules in this situation. It just doesn't matter whatever. Like, oh, well, that is internationally a fucking atrocity. That is a war crime. You can't do that. You can't blow up hospitals. You can't shoot fucking journalists. It just doesn't matter here. It just seemingly just gets thrown out the fucking window. Once again, to the support with the full fucking backing of the United fucking States. Our tax dollars go to fund this fucking shit. And allow this fucking shit. Our politicians defend this shit to the hilt. And if you go against it, then you're supporting terrorism. You're supporting Hamas. That's what they'll fucking say. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a fucking Democrat. I know we talk about this shit all the fucking time, but just moments like this really, really fucking hammer it home. And I haven't talked about this shit in I know a few days. And I mean, shit, before this, the news was, well, the UN has acknowledged that there's a famine. Yeah, no shit. No fucking shit. The military said it regrets any harm to uninvolved individuals and does not target journalists as such. Yeah, that's very believable. Israeli media reported that Israeli troops fired 2 artillery shells at the hospital, targeting a Hamas surveillance camera on the roof. Reuters said that ahead of the first strike, it was showing a live video feed filmed from the hospital when the feed suddenly shut down. The journalist filming the live video was killed in the first strike, Reuters said, citing hospital officials. Video obtained by the Associated Press shows people climbing the external stairwell of the hospital just after the first strike, and then the thundering boom of the second strike. I'm going to read a little further. The Israel-Hamas war has been one of the bloodiest conflicts of media workers, with 189 Palestinian journalists killed by Israeli fire in Gaza in the 22-month conflict, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. Comparatively, 18 journalists have been killed so far in Russia's war in Ukraine, according to the CPJ. And honestly, I love when the media does this, even when they draw the comparisons to how starkly different this is, and how we note that Russia is the aggressor in that situation. When meanwhile, according to, I guess, America, according to Israel, they are supposed to be here defending themselves because of the events of October 7th. Yet they are the ones doing this much fucking damage to the Palestinian people, razing their entire fucking state to the ground. Like, okay, killing so many innocent people. Okay. There's more details here. I did want to get to that. Let's see if I can kind of just scroll ahead here. The deadliest day for journalists in the Gaza war, according to the CPJ, was 2 weeks ago when 6 journalists were killed, according to Al Jazeera correspondent Anas al-Sharif. The channel said that with Monday's strike, 10 journalists associated with the network have been killed in Gaza. Reporters Without Borders called for an emergency UN Security Council meeting to examine what it called Israel's failure to uphold the UN resolution protecting independent journalists in times of conflict. Yeah, they're not upholding a lot of shit. That's for goddamn sure. There's a bit more here, but I want to move to part 2, coming out of this conflict. But in this situation from Israel v. Yemen, because, they're fighting this shit on multiple fronts, as they've elected. I really feel like I should say that. But from Al Jazeera, Israeli bombardment kills 10 in Yemen's Sana'a after Houthi attacks. The Israeli military has bombed the Yemeni capital of Sana'a, Israel and Yemeni officials say, as tensions in the region continue to escalate amid Israel's war on Gaza. The Houthi-affiliated Masirah TV said the attack on Sunday targeted an oil facility and a power plant in Sana'a. Israel said Israel said it also targeted a presidential palace in the Yemeni capital, which it claims is located on a military complex. I mean, that is a statement that they made to say, hey, that allows us to bomb this place maliciously. At least 10 people were killed and 92 others were injured in the attacks, according to health officials. This crime adds to the series and criminal record of the Zionist enemy and to the systematic violations committed by the Israeli occupation forces against civilians and civilian objects in our Arab and Islamic nation, Yemen's health ministry said in a statement on Monday. These attacks constitute war crimes as they directly targeted civilians and caused casualties, in addition to the destruction of civilian facilities unrelated to military objectives. The Israeli strikes came 2 days after the Houthis claimed a missile launch against Israel, part of a campaign that the Yemeni group says aims to pressure Israel to end its atrocities and siege in Gaza. I think it is also worth noting we've covered the conflict between these two, for a while. Obviously, as long as we've been covering, everything in Gaza. But it does correlate where if there's a ceasefire that Israel is abiding by, you do not see these attacks as in the succession that you do, or in the frequency that you do. But the second that shit is broken, the Houthis are going to fucking make that move. They just have been, either out on the Red Sea or when they think that they can, send a missile that they think can hit Israel. Now, was that missile effective? No. But in return, the tit for tat is Israel sends a fucking barrage that actually kills innocent people. And they're like, we're doing this as a tit for tat. We don't care. Yeah, I mean, Israel Cass definitely has some things to say. Let's see. I guess I can just fucking read it right from his mouth. Following the attack, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, today we bombed the presidential palace of the Houthis. For every missile they fire at Israel, the Houthis will pay compound interest. Katz vowed to bring a plague of darkness and doom upon Yemen, even threatening to target its firstborn, quoting from Jewish scripture. So there you go. There's that. Once again, more details to be had, but I know we do have a lot of ground to cover, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the next story. It's an update on Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I know we covered him the other day, but there's literally boom, 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 a new development. So from ABC News. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is held in Virginia as battle continues over his potential deportation. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was wrongly deported in March before being brought back to the U.S. to face new criminal charges, was taken into immigration custody after checking in with Immigration and Customs Enforcement at its office in Baltimore on Monday morning, and is currently being held at a detention center in Virginia, where he is again facing deportation. U.S. District Judge Paulina Exnes, we're going to say Exnes, who has been overseeing his deportation case, said at a habeas hearing Monday afternoon that the federal government is absolutely forbidden from deporting him for the time being. Your clients are absolutely forbidden at this juncture to remove Mr. Abrego Garcia from the continental United States, Judge Zenas told government attorneys. So yeah, we know he was initially sent to El Salvador. Now, yes, that is his home country, but because there was literally a hit out on his head, or at least a suspicion of such, that is why he had fled and had asylum in the fucking first place, if I'm not mistaken. So at the end of the day, it's you shouldn't have sent him there in the fucking first place. So in this round 2 of a deportation, they were talking about, well, we'll send him to Uganda. And it's dude, what are you fucking doing? And you find out too, or at least I found out from reading this, they had pitched him a plea deal. And they said, if you take this plea deal, we'll send you to Costa Rica. If you just take the deal, you take the time, whatever, you go to Costa Rica. But we can just work this out fucking now. And then the plea deal is for human smuggling, which is something he's saying, no, I did not do that. You guys are literally playing some trumped up charges and trying to fucking put that shit on me. I'm not taking that. We're going to run through the whole fucking trial. And, we're going to let that be. And essentially they're saying, okay, well, if you don't want to take the deal, we'll send you to fucking Uganda. And essentially the judge is saying, you're not going to do any of that. We're going to run through this fucking trial, and then, we'll go from there. We'll see if the Trump administration abides by that. We'll see what comes of this. I was a bit, like I said in the other episode, I was a bit worried, because it's okay, cool that they're going to potentially have some kind of security detail for him, but what is that going to do against the actual factual government, right? If they want you, they fucking want you. And literally they just called him Nosferatu style, and he had to come. There's nothing you can do in this situation. And now he is, I believe he's in Virginia right now. But I mean, they are giving as little details as possible. You have family and lawyers saying we literally are trying to talk to ICE, and they're giving us fucking nothing. Which is crazy, because you would think that there's a legal bare minimum that they have to divulge to you about the people that they are holding captive. But these motherfuckers move how they want. They move like goddamn stormtroopers. Let's see. Excuse me. I'm going to take a quick water break as we move on to our next story. I know I'm just kind of smash cutting here. But I'll keep you posted on the Abrego Garcia situation. Like I said, this was a new development, and we'll see what else comes down the pipe. But obviously, it's unfortunate. I'm glad that he was at least able to see his family, at least briefly, have a night. But goddamn, it's crazy that you have to fight for your freedom this hard. It's insane. You know, when you were literally legally granted the asylum to be here. Like, we're talking all this fucking, like, oh, legal immigrant shit. He's a criminal. He's a criminal. Like, they are trying to jazz that shit up because at the end of the day, the law is supporting him that he's allowed to fucking be here. But, oh, Trump wants to wave his fucking wand around and now be like, yeah, all these brown people gotta go now. Sorry. Anyway. Water. Oh, man. Oh, man, oh, man. Okay. We're moving along. Once again, from the Associated Press. Venezuelan opposition says government freed 13 jailed in post-election crackdown. Venezuelan opposition leaders and civil society groups said on Sunday that the government released 13 people jailed in a crackdown by the government of President Nicolas Maduro following last year's disputed elections. Venezuelan authorities did not immediately confirm the releases, but opposition leaders like Enrique Capriles, celebrated on social media, calling it a step forward for those behind bars. He said 8 people were freed while 5 more were released under house arrest. Today, several families have been reunited with their loved ones. We know that many remain, and we will not forget them. We will continue fighting for them all. He wrote in a post on the social media platform X with a video of one of those released embracing their loved ones. So yeah, we've covered the election of Maduro, we gotta put it in quotations, illegal election of Maduro. I do think it was illegal. I think he just forced that shit and made it happen. And said, who's gonna stop me? And what, the international community booed, and he's like, okay, yeah, and yeah, and he more or less shooed the person, his opposition that was supposed to have won, out of the country, more or less. They're in exile, and then the one woman, I cannot remember her name off the top of my head, I'm sorry, she wasn't hiding, and then I can't remember the last where she was out after, I think she got apprehended by the police and then released. I don't know. It's been a long sort of tale. But there was other political prisoners who, were behind bars. So it is at least good that some people have gotten out. Let's see here. I imagine that, that there was some kind of potential, thing that Maduro is going to get out of this, and that's why he's making that kind of move. It remains to be seen. Hopefully more people are going to be released in that way, in that manner. But yeah, I mean, this is the good news. This is definitely the good news. I guess you could say the next story is also good news, but I mean, this is one of those where it's good news, but to me, it just makes me shrug. It just goes like, okay, I guess you got one kingpin, boss. Congratulations. Anyway, we'll just go ahead and just roll into that. I really don't have too much else to say about the situation in Venezuela, at least as of right now. I'm sure we'll be back. But from ABC News, El Mayo, the infamous Mexican drug lord, pleads guilty to drug trafficking charges. So shit, it has been a long time since we've talked about El Mayo, Ismael Zabada. But we covered last when he was apprehended. This was like, oh shit, breaking news. And, I was kind of waiting to see, how a trial was going to progress. It did look like a plea deal was coming. So I was like, all right, we'll just see whatever happens. And it looks like we're there. So this is going to be a good time to just do a bit of catching up. So once again, it's probably a bit of a read along. But, yeah, the co-founder of Mexico's Sinaloa cartel pleaded guilty Monday to federal drug trafficking charges that accused him of being one of the most prolific and powerful narco traffickers in the world. Ismael Zabada, 75, pleaded guilty to 2 counts contained in 2 different indictments, including one that charged him with engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise for 35 years, beginning in 1989. Judge Brian Coogan said he would sentence Zabada to life in prison. The plea agreement orders him to forfeit $15 billion. So much fucking cash. His sentencing has been scheduled for January 13th of 2026. Zambada, who is known as El Mayo, said his career began when he was a teen while speaking from a prepared statement with dozens of federal drug agents crowding the courtroom. I started getting involved with illegal drugs in 1969, nice, when I was 19 years old, when I planted marijuana for the first time, Zambada said. I went on to sell heroin and other drugs, especially cocaine. Elmaya founded the Sinaloa cartel with Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, shipping at least 1.5 million kilos of cocaine since 1980, largely to the United States, and maintaining control through the regular use of violence, bribery, and murder. Zambada admitted in court he had directed people under my control to kill others, to kill others to further the interests of my organization. During the Mexican Wars of the 1980s and 1990s, and he conceded many innocent people were killed. I recognize the great harm illegal drugs have done to the people in the United States and Mexico, Zambada said. Federal prosecutors have said Zambada presided over a violent militarized cartel armed with high-powered weapons and a cadre of hitmen. His guilty plea, followed by the conviction at the trial of El Chapo, in the same federal courthouse in Brooklyn. Guzman is serving a life sentence in a maximum security prison. Zambada thought he was flying high, I got a little too alliterative there. Zambada thought he was flying with one of Guzman's sons to inspect a clandestine Mexican airfield when he instead landed in El Paso and was taken into U.S. custody in July of 2024, according to a Homeland Security investigations official. So this is where I wanted to pause, because I remember covering that story when it happened, and I was like, oh shit, this is wild. How did this, like why would he get on this plane? Like, how did this all unfold where, like, he was, like, caught unawares like this? And to my knowledge, and which is scant, of course, but I believe that either one of the sons, both the sons, or whatever, betrayed El Mayo, and essentially they were on the hook for some fucking shit. So they said, okay, we'll make a deal, and the deal was like, well, you got to give us him, and they said okay. And they were the reason that he got on the plane. I think, and once again, Underworld Podcast literally does a whole episode about it where they, like, after it happens, and they say, hey, look, we have our speculations because we're talking to people on the ground. And they're like, yeah, this is just so surprising in the sense of, like, the only way this happens is if someone super close to El Mayo, Zambada, betrayed him. And he goes, okay, yeah, I'll go along with it, because he just wouldn't have, like, been caught unawares like this. He's been doing it for too damn long. Like, part of the reason that El Chapo got caught was because a bit of hubris, whereas, like, Zambada, he knew his limitations, and he always kind of stayed, like, a bit ahead of everybody. And despite the ongoing conflicts going on between, like, the other criminal factions and stuff like that, he was still floating above it. But I think, once again, it was someone close to him that betrayed him, that gets him on the plane, that gets him arrested. Which to me is wild. It's like, once again, it kind of just going back to the Pablo Escobar shit. Obviously I'm not trying to glorify any kind of true crime or shit, or make these people out to be fucking Paul Bunyan-like mythical people. But, like, I do find this shit fascinating. You know what I mean? And let's see here. They go through a quote from Frank Perez's defense attorney. He recognizes that his actions over the course of many years constitutes serious violations of the United States drug laws, and he accepts full responsibility for what he did wrong, Perez said in a statement. The agreement that he reached with the United States, or with the U.S. authorities, is a matter of public record. It is not a cooperation agreement, and I can state categorically there's no deal under which he is cooperating with the United States or any other government. I feel like they're saying that for, like maybe potentially safety purposes or whatever. Perez said Zambada calls on the Sinaloa to remain calm and avoid violence after descendants of El Mayo and El Chapo have waged a bloody war for control of the cartel. Let's see here. Skipping ahead a bit, Scam Blondie or Pam Bondi, of course is gonna, she's gonna stamp her heels about this and say, yeah, we did it, we won, we did something great. She's calling it a landmark victory. And it's like, and this is going to lead me to my final thoughts on this issue before we move on to our last story. Cool. You got another big one. Just like, it's just like El Chapo. Wow, you really did it. But to think that this is really going to change the conversation, you know, over these cartels? I just don't think so. It is a blow in symbol only, you know, and you get to get a big guy off the street, a big name. I'm not saying that that's not a big get. I'm not saying that it doesn't leave a wake, but I think that change isn't going to eliminate any of these cartels. It's not going to eliminate the Sinaloa cartel, but it's merely going to change the leadership, which I imagine has already, you know, come into effect. And I mean, hell, who even knows? I mean, maybe El Mayo is still going to have sway. I'm sure he probably will. I mean, my speculation hat's on there, but you know, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of influence there, if anything. But I mean, who knows? He's 75, and no matter what, he was going to be going to jail for the rest of his life in this situation. I think doing it this way, kind of just, you know, getting on your belly and saying, I'll say what you want me to say, I'll say all the words, you're probably just doing that so that you can get the best case scenario to rot in jail, right? You know, you're not going to get a Ghislaine Maxwell package, that's for sure. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on, though, to our last story. It's a bit of an ick. It's a bit of an icky little thump. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our last break, and we'll go ahead and go ahead and get into it. I'm not excited. I'm not excited. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. First human case of flesh-eating screwworm parasite detected in the U.S. HHS confirms. This is from the NBC News. Oh boy, hold on to your butts. And I'm sorry if this is icky. Yeah, we're talking about fucking screwworms. Ugh. The first, and also, I guess I'm sorry if you're a bug enjoyer. Look, I'm sorry, but they're not my thing. All right. You'll also know that I'm not a big fan of raccoons and other, you know, animals of that kind of sort. All right. So you know, you're learning about me. I crash out and I don't like fucking screwworms. Oh no. Anyway, the first human case of the flesh-eating parasite, New World screwworm, has been detected in the United States. The Department of Health and Human Services said early Monday. The case, involving a person who had recently traveled to El Salvador getting multiple mentions in this episode, was confirmed to be a screwworm by the Centers for Disease Control, or the CDC, Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, and the Maryland Health Department on August 4th. The Maryland Health Department said in a statement Monday that the resident has recovered from the infection, and the investigation confirmed there is no indication of transmission to any other individuals or animals. That's really good news. I immediately heard the screwworm story and just thought the worst. I'm seeing all these worms and I'm like, oh, it's over. It's so Jover, which is a great leap. I know. I just got a little hysterical, but you know, hey, I'm having an emotionally high day. What can I say? The Maryland Health Department said in a statement Monday that the resident has recovered from the did I already read that? No, I didn't. Has recovered from the infection, and the investigation confirmed there's no indication of transmission to any other individuals or animals. So this isn't moving around. We don't have an anamorph situation. They're not yerking it out. And you yerk it out. Sorry. This is the first human case of travel-associated new worm screwworm myiasis. Fuck me. Say that 5 times fast. I'm going to say it one more time. New World screwworm myiasis. I'm sorry. Parasitic infestation of fly larvae from an outbreak affected country identified in the United States. HHS spokesperson Emily G. Hillard said in a statement. The risk to public health in the United States from this introduction is very low. So that's good. Silver linings. It's not a big deal, hopefully, right? We can chill. We can relax. I'm still a little itchy, but you know, let's just keep reading. The parasite, the larva of the New World screwworm fly, it's a whole thing, can devastate cattle herds and is rife in parts of Central America and Mexico. It can destroy wildlife and even kill household pets. So it seems like that's more of like the devastation focus of it. It doesn't seem like it's jumping on every Tom, Dick, and Harry, I guess. Um, there were serious outbreaks in the 1980s and in the 1990s in Central America, and it was eradicated at great expense, only to return in the last 2 years. So I mean, hey, that being said, this still could be something that's on the rise, but I don't want to obviously, be overly speculative. I would rather be optimistic and say this is just hopefully a one-off scenario, and we don't have to worry about a bunch of screwworms screwing with our lives. That's what I hope. Let's knock on wood. There's more details, but I'll leave that for the real readers, the real eaters out there. I don't know. And yeah, that's it. That's all I really have for today. I know this is a bit of a weird episode, but I appreciate you for taking this ride with me, and I will have you know that I feel a little bit better post, all of that, all of the episodes. So that's good. The catharsis worked, even if I didn't get into the guts of it all. You know what I mean? The reason for the fucking season, if you will. Anyway, that's where we'll leave it for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today so you can hear my real problems. No, that's not what it's for. It's for shout outs. It is for the shout out roll call at the top of the month. I will say I also do shout you out on the day. Like on the day you subscribe and I get the notification, I will be like, oh, what's up? Welcome to the team. You get that, but you also get it at the top of the month as well. I don't cheat you. You get both. But yeah, Newsy Roll Call is coming soon for September, birthday month. Woo! But yeah, free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, whatever platform you like to listen on. Let's see here. Not obviously. Leave a like. Don't leave a dislike. People still leave dislikes. It's weird because they know I see that shit. And it's like, oh, I'm doing it for the algorithm. No, you're doing it to be a queef. Like, why? Why? I see it. Just stop listening. I don't have that many listeners. You can just leave. Okay? I'll say it. There, I said it. I'm in the mood. If you dislike my shit this much and you've made it this far, don't hit the dislike button. If I see that shit, boo. I'm booing you cosmically, and you will feel it. It's just strange. Just leave a like, man. Leave a like. It's so much cooler if you just leave a like. Or nothing at all, but likes are cool. Comments are cool. Cool comments are cool. Don't leave a rude comment. Constructive criticism's fine. Hey, Isaiah, don't get so emotional. Cool, man. Cool person. Thanks. Noted. No, cool comments are nice. Supportive comments are nice. Or you don't have to do any of that. And you can just be cool and just vibe out. And that's also dope. And even if you just like it and then you just don't come back, that's also dope. Look, I've been doing this for a while, so I'm at a point where I'm just doing it for the love of the game. It's always been that way, all right? Whether I get to 500 subscribers plus or not, all right? Anyway, that's really all I have. I don't know why I'm into this in such a angsty way. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.